Alright, I'm going to show the elbow palpations from the lab, and to make your life a little bit easier, if you're just doing a standard eval of the elbow, and the person can actually move their elbow around, then it's always easier for you if you can kind of get them to a place where they're standing or sitting, and you can support the weight of their arm by grabbing under their biceps here. And now you have all the structures visible that you're going to need to palpate. If they are injured and they come to you in more of a guarded or protected position and they are unwilling to move their elbow, you'll need to palpate it in this particular position that they've brought it to you in. But for this here, the first thing that we want to look for is our three major landmarks that are going to tell us a lot about the elbow right off the bat. So that's the olecranon process and the medial and lateral epicondyles. And so when we find those, it actually makes a really nice triangle. Okay, so I have my lateral epicondyle, my medial epicondyle, and my olecranon process. And when the elbow is straight, all these points then come to alignment. So we make a straight line right across here. So that's really nice because you can immediately find that right away. So now I've already found three of our major landmarks: medial and lateral epicondyles, the olecranon process. So sorry, that was a little bit confusing, but here's our triangle here. And here is our straight line here. So now if I come in right with the triceps come down and insert on the olecranon process, I can start to feel the very top of the olecranon fossa. So that's what this divot is right here. When you dig your thumb into there, that's the olecranon fossa. If we go over to the lateral epicondyle, we can start palpating around, and we know that the radial head is going to be just inferior to that. So I found my lateral epicondyle, I move my way down. The next bony, rounded process I feel, that's going to be your radial head. Okay? And if you further that down just a little bit further, it goes again into a nice little divot, and you have your radial neck. So at the radial neck is where the annular ligament is. So by having your thumb here in the radial neck, you are palpating the annular ligament. Coming back up to the radial head and the lateral epicondyle, right in this area is where you're going to be able to palpate and feel the radial collateral ligament. So if you move your thumb back and forth in this space, you should be able to feel a nice little band of tissue underneath your thumb, and that's going to be your radial collateral ligament. If you are palpating the radial head and the radial neck, if you just simply pronate and supinate their arm, you can actually feel the rotation that takes place in there as the radial head spins around in that annular ligament. Coming over to the medial side, we have our medial epicondyle here. And I think the easiest way to get to the location of where your ulnar collateral ligament is to know that this is your olecranon process, and that is a part of the ulna. So the olecranon process from the ulna operates within the olecranon fossa of the humerus. So we know that this is the ulna. We can feel the ulnar ridge, and we can feel the ulna here, and we can feel our epicondyle here, which is a part of the humerus. And if we kind of slightly meet these two together, right in this area, that's where your ulnar collateral ligament is going to be. Now remember, the ulnar collateral ligament is quite a thick triangular band of tissue. It has 3 different bands associated with it, so it's not going to be as distinctly palpable as your radial collateral ligament. So the ulnar collateral ligament is here in this area on the medial side of the elbow. The other important structure back here, while I'm right here, is that cubital fossa. So the cubital fossa is where the ulnar nerve runs through. It's a nice little deep divot here on the medial side of the elbow. Be careful when palpating this. If you push too hard, they will get symptoms down their arm and to their fingers. Their 4th and 5th fingers will become numb. because this is essentially the funny bone. For other palpations, the radius and ulna, and just remember that the radius, you want to really assess whether or not they're in anatomical position. So palms facing up is anatomical position. So we know that our radius is going to be in our lateral side when that's happening. So we'd be able to palpate here at the radial head and potentially follow down. And the radius is smaller up at the elbow, whereas the ulna is much larger. So the ulna is going to be a large part of what makes up that elbow joint, and it becomes smaller as you move down to the wrist. If they happen to be in a pronated position, just remember that the radius rotates over top of the ulna, so they will be on the opposite sides down at the wrist. And those are your elbow palpations.